Imaginative.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And do you have anybody besides Ed on Zoom?
It's like Stephanie.
Stephanie Rossi. Last, left side.
Okay, sorry.
It's that big letters.
It's- Right. The public has been suitably notified of this meeting. The next order of business is the approval of the minutes.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any comment? All in favor, please say aye. Any opposed? Are there any citizens here who would like to make comments or anybody?
The staff.
It's gonna be a quick meeting. Okay, the old business, Port Royal new multifamily standards. Noah Crafts. Hey, Noah.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for having me today.
Recording in progress.
Great.
Darn.
Well, in the spirit of the quick meeting, I think I'll probably have a shorter presentation than you're used to as well. But while Libby's getting the presentation pulled up, what's not addressed in my presentation is kind of some of the background on why we dug into our multifamily development standards, multi-building development standards. So I wanted to go over that a little bit with you. So I believe May of 2024, Port Royal Town Council determined that it was time to put a stop to some multifamily development and passed a moratorium on any new applications, development review, development permits for multifamily development. And the way that that was addressed in our code at the time was anything other than a detached single family house. So right off the bat, that was one of the issues that I saw. And so anything from townhomes to duplexes all the way up to a 24 unit apartment complex at that time was stopped. So we were tasked as part of the moratorium, our planning staff, with reviewing all of the multifamily standards and offering recommendations to town council to make changes to those standards. In addition, we determined it was probably best to just do a full review of our code. And so we split it up into chapters. And so articles 2, 3, 4, and 5 in our code are most of the major development standards, the architectural standards, the underlying zoning district standards, and so forth. And then we did kind of a second round of review with the Planning Commission, which was kind of all of the other supplemental things, making sure definitions lined up with our new standards and so forth, making sure the purpose and intent of the code still lined up with what we had changed, those types of things. And so we started a long process. I think it was about a little over a year. August of 2024, we hired Lauren Kelly with Moser Kelly Design to be our consultant for this work. And we began to hold work sessions with our Planning Commission. And I think we held somewhere in the ballpark of 6 to 8 work sessions over the next as many months that were open to the public. And we began to kind of look at how do we want to address the issues that we have. The biggest issue that we had was we were turning into that bedroom community. We were seeing large apartment complexes being developed. We weren't seeing any commercial development to support those residents, and they weren't stopping. You know, we were getting one complex over here that was 250 units, another over there that was 300. And you can kind of see them scattered out on Savannah Highway, along Robert Smalls Parkway on the south side. And some of the last vestiges of the previous standards are still, and development agreements are still underway or still have not yet started construction. So we're still seeing the effects of the previous standards. So in May 2025, we then asked for a 6-month extension to tie up some of the loose ends. And by November of this past year, we had fully realized all of the standards that we wanted to put into place. We had, by that point, held monthly planning commission meetings. Town council had workshops both at town hall and out in the community at Bridges Prep. And we were at that point ready to pass everything and off to the races. So if Libby, you want to go to the next slide, I will walk through some of the major things that we did. Cool. So the stuff at the bottom of this page you may be familiar with. I'll touch on that, but I do want to focus on the stuff that comes first here. We started talking to our consultant, and we wanted to figure out a way to continue the practice of Port Royal having unique neighborhood development. You see that in the village. You see single-family homes next to a row of townhomes. You see a beautiful duplex that you don't even know is a duplex. It looks like it's a larger single-family estate. And those are the kinds of things that we like. We like the quirks in our development patterns through the village. We wanted to find some tool to allow that to happen with new development as well. And so Lauren and I started working on building type diversity standards. And what that is our architectural standards have a list of building types that are allowed. In form-based codes, there was a push for missing middle housing types to be included in the form-based codes. And so we had previously, single family detached, large and small, townhomes, duplex, triplex, and up to 24 units in a building. There was kind of a disconnect between calling certain buildings multifamily, calling certain buildings single family. And so the first thing we wanted to do was clean up townhomes as a single family style building. Duplexes and triplexes should not be considered multifamily because they're not in the building code. And so those were some things we wanted to clean up to make it cleaner for potential small developers. And then the next thing we wanted to do is, how do we mandate that new development includes a mix of building types? There are tools that are in place in the county code. There are tools that are in place in the city's code. There's the traditional neighborhood, or I'm sorry, what's the place type overlay in the county code, which is what you might see where they change the zoning within a larger parcel to create that sense of density at the center and less density as it moves out. And the city had the traditional neighborhood development floating overlay, which we've also adopted. But those are options, right? Those are things that a developer could choose to do if you sell it on them. What we wanted to do was make it so that there's no way out of doing the diversity of housing choices that we would like to see. And so what we did is put standards in place depending on the zoning district and depending on the number of lots or units that are proposed for the types of the mix of housing types that need to go into that development. And I left the building type diversity standards that we adopted over there on the desk with Libby if you want to pick it up and look into it in further detail when you leave. So this, I'll show you some examples, but this is basically looking at the more dense districts, the T4s and T5. So in developments where there's more than 20 buildings or more than 72 units, there is a large mix of housing types that need to be included in that. So you can no longer do 13 to 24 units for every single building. They can no longer have that uniform look that creates the homogeneous, endless streetscape of the exact same apartment building heading the whole way down through the property. So it virtually eliminates the ability to build the types of apartment complexes that we've seen. We kind of also see as a backdoor moratorium on continuing, because not only did it stop people from building those types of developments during the moratorium, but now we have a tool in place where they can no longer do that at all. And it also created some more nuanced building types within those missing middle types. So we broke them out into 2 and 3 units, 4 and 6 units. And then once you get into the more dense districts, you could do the larger apartment complex buildings. but they still, again, have to be in that mix of other building types. And then the other alternative development patterns that we either added or expanded on would be the small scale planned infill development, which allows some laxer standards for lot design and so forth for infill projects. The TND floating overlay, which is similar to the place type overlay that the county has, wherein you can go into a larger parcel, identify a certain amount of area that can be upzoned, certain amount of area that has to remain the same zoning, and a certain amount to be downzoned. And then cottage courts were previously a building type in our code. We've expanded them to a development type, and that would be where multiple units, either attached or detached, are arranged around a courtyard in the middle of a block. Trying to think of an example of that.
Would that be in the middle of a neighborhood?
It would be in the middle of, correct, yep.
New
So-
Shell Point.
New
with
show.
The original plan of original on.
Old Shell Point.
Old Shell Point.
Yes,
would have
yeah, Old Shell
those.
Point does have cottage court, you're right. That's specific to the internal part of a block, so you can't do that on a corner. Although there is an example in Port Royal of it on a corner from before I was here, but I live in it, so.
Is there a minimum lot size for those cottage courts?
A minimum lot, I believe it's 100-foot. It might be 75 or 100-foot wide minimum. So they would truly, if you're going to the minimum size, it needs to be small
And
cottages.
Does the court can't be like a detention pond or something?
No,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that's another thing that we got into with our review, which I'll touch on, is how we revised our civic space types as well. That was another big point that we wanted to hit with this. Libby, if you can go to the next slide, I'll just walk us through some of the case study examples that we put together for the building type diversity. This is just to orient you, the property behind the Piggly Wiggly Shopping Center, and also incorporates some old mobile home parks as you head west towards Rebo Road that are no longer in use. And so all of this property is owned by one development company. The plan on the right is a first pass concept plan from the development company that was the owner at the time. I'm not sure if someone else is under contract now. And it was 233 townhomes. And besides the fact that some of the street layout was not well done, it was, hey, we're going to do 230 townhomes and we've got 3 products, and we're going to do these tiny variations in the architecture to make them look different. We all know that doesn't actually look different. And so what we did was lay out how it could look under these building type diversity standards. This is a T4 neighborhood center zoning. So they would be required to do 5 different building types. And you can see 5 examples listed there in the legend. And within those 5 building types within the development, you have to do at least 2 of those building types per block. And so what you see here is exactly that. There's some thought given to, if you can see in the bottom right where a clubhouse would be for this development, there's some thought given to where the density of the development would go. And then as you move out towards the north and out towards the south and west, it's a little bit less density. That could also, this is just an example. You could figure that however you'd like to once you get a concept plan from a developer. So just to give you, the colors are there to show you the darker, I believe, the darker colors are the more dense. So you can really mix density within the development, and you're creating that housing choice for people in a way that this does not. They know their price point for this product. They know that the market that they're trying to hit. With this, not only are you creating diversity of building type, but you're creating diversity of potential buyer. The townhome, a small cottage in the cottage court might be for a different buyer than 1 unit in a 6-unit walk-up building. And that's the goal of these standards. The next slide is just a second example of that with a slightly different layout. And so, Libby, you're welcome to share this presentation after this. I won't walk through all of that again with this one, but it's just similar mix of building types, just laid out in a different way to kind of show the examples of how this could be done.
And the green space along the water that's a bluff, isn't it?
Correct, yeah. In new subdivisions in the town, you have to create public access along the water's edge. And so I believe this developer actually planned to do a path here. And so we just kind of included that over there just to show that that would remain in place as well. But as you can see also, there's no green space here. The other thing that you could note here on the left side is the green space between the orange squares, which is the cottage courts. Those would all be accessible to anybody who lives in the development or otherwise. And so that's on top of the diversity standards. We really are trying to create a mix of smaller civic spaces within development so that people have within a short walk somewhere to recreate within their neighborhood. So the next slide, please. These are just snapshots of the other alternative development patterns that we included. I'm not going to go too deep into them because I don't think it really addresses the multifamily needs. These are left over from my briefing to council on the larger scope of what we did. And so small scale planned infill development, as I mentioned before, gives you the ability to have laxer lot standards, create a little bit more density in a certain area, and then cluster around those natural resources. A good example of that that's actually being constructed in the town right now would be London Square, corner of London and 14th Street, directly across from the Oyster Shed, Live Oak Park. There is a wetland pond on that property. Rather than say, no, you must do an alley behind it with homes only fronting the street, we figured out ways to allow homes to front that wetland pond similar to the duck line directly next to it, as well as a few homes that will front a pedestrian path that spans the block between the new development and London Square. And so now we're partnering with that developer to hopefully take control of the wetland and improve it so that it's additional space for wading birds to forage, specifically, I believe, during nesting season. Cypress wetlands are pretty much at capacity these days, so.
Noah,
Yes.
can I interject? This is Ed Pappas.
I forgot it's on there. Sorry.
The slides aren't advancing with your presentation. We're still on addressing multifamily, slide number 2. Somebody can fix that so we can see what you're discussing.
You might have to, did you share?
Stop share, yeah, let's. Yeah. Did that move your screen?
Yeah, all I'm seeing is it's, well, okay, that one just came
Okay.
on, small scale
Yeah.
planned infill development, just came on.
I can.
They weren't advancing along with the discussion. That's what's the point. Okay. There you go. Perfect.
Want to go to the next one for me, Libby? Thank you.
Maybe not. Let's just see. Oh, she went away. That didn't work over there now.
Okay, I'll just touch on these next 2 slides very briefly. This is an example from, I believe, the county's development code on the right, of something similar to it. Oh, actually, this is the city, right? Yes. So this is the TND floating overlay district. One thing we thought we would steal from the city, because it can accomplish what we want to do with the building type diversity standards, with buy-in from the developer, and create kind of that mixed use development that can be more pedestrian oriented and have some kind of central district. And so this was just another one that we added to the code to expand on the options that people have when they come in and discuss what their plans are with us. Next, please. So this is the cottage courts, which we already allowed. But again, we allowed them as a building type where they had to be one lot with anywhere from 3 to 8 units, with the shared space in the center. And so we all again borrowed from the city of Beaufort on this one to expand on those standards, make it a development type rather than just a building type. It didn't really make sense there. And the great thing about cottage courts is that there's a broad range of people that it might be good for. It might be good for someone who's aging, who needs to have people close by, but wants to have that sense of privacy, and knowing that there's neighbors near if they do need help. It could even be that someone lives here who's aging and just so happens that, you know, their nurse lives in the next one because it's affordable to them. It's also a great place for families, young families, because the courtyard actually creates that sense of enclosure, sense of community. I'm getting outside, your kid's getting outside and playing, but you don't have to worry about where they are somewhere else in the neighborhood. And so we just wanted to expand on those as we updated the code. And then if you want to go to the next slide, I won't read through everything that's on this next slide. You know, we did a lot of cleanup. We did a lot of things to make it more user-friendly when you go into our code and look for the setbacks. Instead of scanning through every district to find where the setbacks are on the page for that district, you just go to one table at the beginning of that chapter and it has everything laid out. Our architectural standards, while still potentially could use some work, we have created one table that I believe is 3 pages now. Previously, it was 31 pages of architectural standards, and you know, people don't really need a full page diagram of what material they need to use for the trim of their windows and that kind of thing. So in some areas that does still apply, but what we wanted to do is just pare that all down and make it a little bit less burdensome for an architect or homeowner who's going in to look at pricing out what they're going to be doing. The big thing that I want to touch on, besides the multifamily stuff, but does tie into the multifamily stuff, is the civic space types. Because the overarching goal with this was let's do the things we set out to do, and let's also make sure we allow the quirk of Port Royal to continue. And so we went into all of our civic space types, and previously they were named things like regional park, pocket park, civic plaza, but those don't mean anything in the context of Port Royal, really. You know, you can sort of apply those titles to parks in the area or potential future parks. But we wanted to make sure that new development does not end up being, here's your civic space set aside that you must do, and squeeze it in at the last minute behind the parking lot of an apartment building. Use the 20 feet between 2 buildings and say that that's a pocket park, but it's actually where the stormwater inlet is, and it's not safe for anybody to actually hang out there or play. And so we went through all of the public spaces and parks in Port Royal, from Sands Beach to the Traveling Buoy Park to Mariner Park, which a lot of people don't know is not actually that whole corner on Paris Avenue where the anchor is. It's just the exact footprint of the anchor and the sidewalk in front of leading up to the sidewalk in front of it. So it truly is a tiny pocket park. And we incorporated all of what makes those places special. Is it the public art? Is it the seating? Is it the pathways? We incorporated those into new civic space types so that when you go into the code to plan a new development, you can pull out, okay, we want to do something like the Traveling Buoy, where it's 1/10 of an acre and it has some form of public art as the feature in that park. And maybe there's benches around it so that people can hang out there, look out at the water behind the Traveling Buoy, maybe learn a little about the history of that, or learn about a new artist in the area that did an installation. So that was another big thing. And the example on the townhome diversity standards example, where it was all townhomes, there was no civic space, and they met their entire civic space set aside requirement by putting a pathway behind all of the private townhomes along the water connecting down to the clubhouse. That's nice and it's usable, but you've got people, 6 blocks away that don't have anything to do over there. And so we, on top of the civic space types that we updated, we also put a standard in place for how far a civic space has to be from every unit in a new development. So if you've got something in the northeast corner and somebody lives in the southwest corner and that's, a half mile away, no, they need to be within 1,500 feet, a quarter mile, or whatever it might be, depending on how many units there are. And so that, coupled with the diversity standards, we're really hoping that future development that does occur is going to feel more authentic, more organic, depending on the size, potentially require some set aside for civic use if it's needed. Police substations in the town of Port Royal are a big thing that we're concerned about. And so potentially in the future, a new development might occur where we can work with them due to the new standards to set aside the space for that type of civic use. I think I've hit all of the highlights that I wanted to. Libby, if you want to go to the last slide. This is just an overview of the principles that were put in place in our comprehensive plan in 2020, 2021, that we kind of used as a guiding light as we went through this process to make sure that any decisions we were making were based on the principles of the comprehensive plan, rather than something that one of us thought was the hot new thing, but it's not something that the town of Port Royal's citizens have said they would like to see in the town. So with that, I will take any questions anybody has.
It's kind of related. At the base of the bridge, Broad River, I think it's in the town of Port Royal, it was annexed, what is that being developed on the rights?
It will be single family homes on narrow lots. They were originally townhomes.
Oh,
And then they revised the plan to convert it to single family.
so there's no commercial gonna be in there?
So actually at the light
Yeah.
is a separate property.
Uh-huh.
So right as you go through heading towards the boat landing, that first wooded property on the right there,
Yeah.
that has been approved for a commercial development.
Oh, it has, okay. Cause that pier's heavily used.
Right, yeah. The development that was approved, they originally had, a nice machine and some things that might be useful to the boat landing, people heading down to the boat landing. I believe that one of the anchor suite within the new building is appropriately sized for some kind of fast casual dining. So that might be helpful as well.
Noah, what kind of reaction are you getting from the developers to the revision of the multifamily standards? If any, at this point?
Yeah, I've had, I can say, serious conversations with two different types of developers. One is the type that has their architects sending me question after question, trying to find the loophole. I've had questions like, so we need to change the architecture types of these buildings, of our apartment buildings, so that they're different building types. And I've had to clarify, no, these are number of unit building types. They have certain looks to them, but in the end, it's about the number of units. So those broad architectural variations are not going to get the job done. And then I've had other developers who knew that the changes were taking place and are under contract. Specifically, the site that I used as the example is working with an engineering and architecture firm in Savannah to devise a plan that meets these standards perfectly. Haven't had to do any kind of pushing to get them in that direction. We provided them the standards. We provided them the new building type standards as well. And we just recently received a concept plan that we think is workable to get them towards the types of building type diversity that they need to include. So it's a range, and it's there's always going to be the people that push back and we'll push back until they get the absolute firm no, and then they'll push back 3 more times after the firm no. And there are the people who are, I won't say the ones that we want, but the ones that are easier to work with to get them to what we want. And that was kind of what we were hoping, was we would see, you know, companies or small local developers or small regional developers that are interested in doing that type of development, rather than folks who are trying to put a square peg in a round hole with their typical product that they do all over the nation.
Have you seen or have any feedback yet with the relaxing of the design standards, if it's actually reduced the overall cost for development?
You know, it's tough because the relaxing of the design standards is mostly outside of the village. And I think we already saw lower costs there. So I haven't done enough digging to know if the costs, you know, in the Burton area that's in Port Royal, are they significantly lower now? That I don't know. But it is an overarching thing that we still want to continue to try and do. Are there other ways to bring costs down with design standards? Are there other ways to bring costs down that the town can foot the bill on something, you know, whether it be, one of the things we're looking at is for mobile homes in the municipality, or at least in our municipality, I'm sorry, and I believe in the county as well. They must add a front porch that meets the porch standards, and it's got to be oriented a certain way on the lot. Well, these folks are going out and buying a mobile home because they want to pay the cost of a mobile home, you know, and they're being told you have to have engineered plans to put a porch in front of the house, which you can't even actually tie into the structure of the house. And so we've been talking about potentially buying some engineered plans just to be able to provide to those people and their contractors so they don't have to pay an engineer. We've looked at the options of pre-approved building plans for some different housing types, that kind of thing. But all those cost money, and the money continues to come up. It's not, you know, if you're licensing plans from somebody, it's not like I bought this plan from you once and I can now give it to 100 people, you know, so I might have gotten off.
No, I appreciate it.
Is the moratorium still in effect, and do y'all still have large tracts of land that are under development agreements?
It was lifted in November. So we ended up being an 18-month moratorium. We have a large tract of land. We have a couple large tracts of land, not just apartment complex, but a mix of single family and townhome on Grover Hill Road, across Paris Island Gateway from the intersection of Grover Hill Road. All of that whole area is still, you know, there's a heavy onslaught of development that was vested prior to these standards being put in place. And then on Robert Smalls Parkway, corner of Robert Smalls Parkway and Broad River, there's a large site there that was also vested for apartments prior to these standards being adopted. So it'll be a while before the general public realizes that we're not still just approving those things, but that's the way it goes. So
Ask my question that I always ask, which is how do we get affordable housing mixed in there? Because
Yep.
school teachers are not going to be able to pay for those.
Yeah.
Much less hospitality workers.
yeah, I mean, my opinion is that the first thing that needs to happen is at a state level, which would be allowing inclusionary zoning. Because we can't do anything to mandate developers. It has to be a partnership. There has to be some type of incentive. Depending on your agency's budget, do you have the ability to provide an incentive? Because we need the tax base to come in. You know, we have all these homes, all these apartments being built. We have to provide services to these people. So at the same time, are we saying, well, you don't have to pay taxes for 10 years because we need your affordable units, and then not growing a tax base for the types of services we need to provide. So,
Could be a density bonus, different design standards.
But Wendy, I don't know if those ever worked.
Huh?
I don't know if those density bonuses ever worked or.
Well, they don't work here because we don't have the ability to do inclusionary zoning.
Correct,
So that's a state
by state law.
That's the
issue.
state,
Yeah.
has the county, Rob, ever used the affordable housing ordinance has a density bonus, correct?
Yes, we've used it several times.
Okay.
most recent, and it's probably not the best example, but it's a hotel in Bluffton that was converted to efficiency apartments.
Sort of the same idea of what Dick did with Pearl, right? Yeah,
And the one in Port Royal.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there was no local bonus for that conversion.
Right.
That was I don't know if the one in Bluffton was Vivo, but Vivo has a model that they do, I believe internationally, if not just nationally.
It's not really affordable.
No, and that's the other,
It's
I
really
mean,
not.
I think it's 300, I mean, it's the size of a
I
Motel
guess it's
6
over
room.
$1,000 for one of those little efficiencies. And then if you want this, you pay extra. If you want that, you pay extra, you know.
And they lock
So
you in.
it's sort of like a net is,
2 years.
And from what I've heard, the kitchenette is so small that you can't fit a dish in the sink to wash it. So, yeah, there's
Yeah.
flaws with that. Absolutely. So,
but apparently Dick's is doing well. They're getting people in
They're
there.
getting students, a lot of students.
Yeah,
Pearl.
yeah.
It also has a bigger kitchen.
Yeah, Claude.
2 dishes.
Get a pot, get a pot.
50%.
I-
But they're doing.
I want to comment on,
back.
Yeah, I talked to Courtney.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got a real variety of people,
Yeah.
ages and backgrounds and stuff.
just to kind of comment on some of the things, we push pause on development. Okay, so if it was in the pipeline, if it already been permitted, it could
They
happen.
can have, yeah.
But we just wanted our codes to catch up because things are just happening at the.
Catch your breath because it was
Yeah,
going too.
I mean, it was going fast. And the council we wanted to be transparent. We wanted the public to see. So we had 6 or 8, workshops open to the public. We even took it out to, took our meetings out into the community, out to Bridges Prep. So we could try to reach the whole community and we could present. Moratorium was a year and then we didn't get everything done in a year. So we kind of bumped it out 6 more months to come to 18 months and we closed it up. And I feel like we accomplished a lot of things we set out to do, the diversity of building types, public access to water. Our code, our trees, we kind of tightened that up a little bit even more, looked at that. Our zoning district standards and our community design standards. I think we hit a lot of things. I felt like it was real successful and knowing his team did a great job. So thank you for everything and your work on that. So.
And I'll second that, Noah and Kelly.
Lauren.
Noah and you guys really did. do-
Yeah, we're throwing a lot of things at you.
You're
responding.
Yeah,
Part I like
it's that,
to
it's that. Yeah.
thing that
The light just.
the thing that grabbed my attention is that the diversity of houses and price range is also going to create a diversity of experiences
absolutely.
where people, I think, are going to get to know folks. I mean, the folks who
Yeah.
are one income bracket are going to be neighborly with the folks with a lower income bracket, maybe not really low income, but I think that's a good thing because many of the homes, especially some of the neighborhoods that are not really accessible, they're like homes, like priced, like people.
Yeah, and that's exactly the way that we look at it in the planning world, is that, yes, these are regulations and there's numbers involved and stuff, but at the end of the day, you're trying to do something that creates a community fabric that is more so than just segregating people by their income, and other issues, so. Anything else for me?
Thank
job,
you,
buddy.
Noah.
Absolutely.
Very good. Excellent.
Okay, next on the agenda, does any of you want to say what's going on in your towns?
Oh.
Yeah, first, because we have time to do that.
I'll start.
Okay.
Real quickly, talking about cypress wetlands, the county has approved the renovations to the Arthur Horn Park, which was pretty much destroyed during Matthew.
Yeah.
And so and then eventually, hopefully, we'll have a connection between where you could walk from cypress wetlands to Arthur Horn Park. It will have a boardwalk similar to cypress wetlands. They had applied for several grants that didn't come through, but the county is going forward with it with stormwater enterprise funds. So it should be a nice addition to that neighborhood too.
Yeah,
And,
that's great.
and I guess we'll just get more birds coming in from both places. And I'll see about we need a flag in here. So,
Oh, yeah, we do need a flag.
and we had a chat with council last night. I'll let, if David wants to say anything about that.
It was great. It was well attended. USC, a lot of USCB students were out there. Talking about the new or the proposed athletic field and with Convocation Center. Yeah, it was a good turnout. We didn't get yelled at. It was
Yeah, they were-
always
they were
always
very-
a success when we didn't get yelled at. So, but yeah, it was very, very polite, informal, good dialogue back and forth. And I like those chat with councils.
And both in their area and Shadow Moss, as y'all know, there's been issues with people firing guns. And there's gonna be a draft ordinance.
I
and
think February
at your
3rd.
committee,
Yeah, I think so.
To, where we've got development butting up against rural areas now, and there was a problem in Bluffton and a big problem in Shadow Moss too, with someone firing.
Yeah, I'll know for sure next week.
Yep, I think they had to take cover, didn't they, in Shadow Moss?
Hunters in the rural area,
Not hunters, are just people shooting
arms.
that are,
Just on their property, shooting their guns, sighting their rifles or doing whatever, and a lot of them strayed over into,
yeah, we had somebody from the public talk about that last night. I think that's it.
dangerous.
How about you, Phil?
Well, I guess, work is underway. The Waterfront Advisory Committee is finally, I guess they've got the survey in hand. I don't know if they've tabulated everything yet, but they're going to have a charrette, I believe, the end of March, something like that, with 3 options that'll be available for the waterfront park. Get some public input, and they'll have, I guess, estimated costs associated with those. And so we can move forward on that. We're working on the day dock, want to get that back open as quickly as we possibly can. And also the big hole at the corner of Bay and Charles. They hopefully will be done, I think, by the end of the month. And then moving up Charles Street, all the way up towards the post office. So, and they have another one going on King Street that's as well. So we've got to get those done because ARPA money is involved. It's got to be done this year. And then we have a couple other projects that are on delay because of money issues. And I think Bayard, it's already covered, but it's just, they've got some legal.
The Poor Republic, that one is on hold until we have to go because we couldn't do it with ARPA money. We didn't have enough money with the SCORE project to be able to do it. So.
Yeah, what the public doesn't understand, we don't control any of this stuff.
Yeah.
We're talking about with the
Right.
SCORE projects, and they're the ones that are causing delays, and the merchants were getting a little
Right.
antsy. But I will say we spent some money for the Christmas holidays, and I think it turned out well. We didn't have this much foot traffic, but I think the merchants were very happy with, and also with the lights we put in there and made it more festive.
Yeah.
Can y'all touch on the social district conversation? That's been well received on Ladies Island, I can tell you that, and by me.
Well,
No, we're going to discuss it on Tuesday.
work session.
Yeah, it's during our work session. And by the way, we've changed our schedules. We have our regular meetings on 6 o'clock on the second Tuesday of the month. We're going to have our work sessions at 5 o'clock on the fourth Tuesday of the month. We're going to spend as much time as we need to get stuff done, because before we had it 2 hours prior to our meeting. You couldn't.
It was those 2-hour executive sessions when we got out at 12:30.
Right.
So.
That's it too.
Yeah, the social district is gonna, we've done a survey and polled, we've gotten a lot of feedback and it's on both sides as far as some are very concerned that it's doing. We want to be clear that the social district is only for beer and wine. It is not for
River
liquor.
Street.
Yeah, it's not, this is not River Street or New Orleans. And it is with the intent that the police department will have a heightened coverage in the areas where it would be and so forth. So it's not intended to be a free-for-all party zone.
It seems like, well, the social district, you're either for it or you're against it, at least right now. So I've been encouraging, 'cause I was surprised at a meeting I was at. Yes.
Northwest Quadrant.
Yeah, this was at
Old Commons.
Old Commons, yeah. And I was surprised, when I mentioned it, I expected a more friendly reception, but they jumped right on me. So I just asked them to be sure to come to the workshop.
And I think one of the things with the social district, we're going to do a pilot project. The merchants, I guess, or Baja, I
Volunteer
should say,
for it.
want it 7 days a week from 10 to 10.
7 days a week.
And, yeah, because they're looking at lunchtime and people drinking out on the sidewalk, I guess. But, I think for us, we've got it's gonna be a tight little area. It's gonna have to be, well patrolled by police. We're looking at Wednesday through Saturday as a pilot. And we're gonna also have to take, stock and what kind of evaluation do we get out of this? Did it increase foot traffic? Did it increase retail sales and not just bars and restaurants? Did we have any incidents, involved? Did it create litter? Did it create noise in the neighborhood? So all that stuff's got to be looked at to determine, do we go forward with this, make it permanent or?
And it's a challenge for, the merchants have always been somewhat resistant in the core, having later hours, except for its special events. And so does it make sense from Wednesday through Saturday to have later hours for a social district, but we're trying to encourage foot traffic when nothing's opened other than the bar that they're
Bars.
drinking at, so it's like,
The
you
cheap
gotta
pricing.
make a,
And the later the hour gets, chances are those people have already had lots of them before you get to that later hour.
And I'm concerned, as a former risk manager about the liability.
Yeah.
Because, if you've been drinking, you're likely, or more likely, I should say, of tripping and falling and then all right, who owned that property?
Yeah.
Who
From a
was it?
rowdiness perspective, the chief price seems to think that she can deal with it with the force that we have. So that was kind of reassuring for
Find
me.
out.
Gary, do you have anything for Port Royal?
No, we have been, this week, we had the Municipal Association meeting in Columbia. And we were in Columbia, Beaufort was there, all municipalities throughout the state were there. Went up Monday night and we're speakers and we're in classes. Tuesday, Wednesday, came back Wednesday night. I thought it was really, really good time to see everybody network a little bit and just hear what's going on, in other areas. I thought it was a well organized and a good trip.
this time of year is our legislative action, so we had the opportunity to be with our senators and our House of Representatives.
Yeah.
And we had the opportunity to ask them for any money they could find for water.
Right.
Yeah.
Along with our,
The ones.
talking to, I spoke with Senator Graham's office and also with what's her name? Come on,
Oh, Savannah?
no, the
Nancy?
rural development, no, not Nancy.
Yeah.
Nancy,
You get sued if you talk to her.
the rural development funding process.
One other thing I failed to mention, and thanks to Mitch, but we're having our strategic planning session, if you will, our retreat, council retreat, the end of this month, the 28th and 29th.
28th, 29th, where
Yeah,
at?
it's going to be
It's
at
our
the
training.
police station training room.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to, instead of just doing the strategic goals like we usually do, because it's basically been the same, we're just tweaking them a little bit every time. This year, it's going to be a focus on back to core competencies.
What times?
The
it start?
29th and 30th.
Yeah, 28th and, 29th and 30th.
It's 8:30.
What times does it start?
8:30 to 5.
Yeah, something like that.
8:30 to 5? Okay.
8:30, you can get a cup of coffee, start probably about 9.
Like for lunch,
Break for
sort of
lunch.
working lunches both days.
We'll have public comment so people can come and say what they want to say.
The next meeting be February 20th,
Which meeting?
this meeting.
It's the fourth Friday. Yeah.
Oh, so it'll be the 27th. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
Port Royal's retreat is gonna be the 20th, Friday, the 20th. 9 to 4 as well. So
Are you doing it at police?
it'll be in the police department. Yeah.
It would be great if we could get some ideas for future meetings. I know this always comes up at the end of the meeting, but
When did
do you have some already, Libby?
We have a potential discussion about a northern Beaufort County transportation plan, either February, I'm thinking maybe March, talk
Okay.
about that idea. Don't have anything necessarily for next month, but we can work on it unless.
Okay,
Can I make one other
yes,
Will
sure.
announcement? Just a heads up, we're gonna be sending out communication to every agency we can think of. But CDBG project on Paris Avenue will be beginning in February.
Hmm.
And so we'll be partially closing, not ever the full street at one time, but partially closing Paris Avenue in front of the Cypress Wetlands Amphitheater.
Okay,
It'll be the wetlands side to begin, and then we'll finish that side and switch over to the other side of the street. But I know there might be issues with, school buses and,
Mhm.
any
the
shuttles or
delivery, those
anything.
big delivery
So
trucks with the food.
Delivery trucks, yeah. So we're working with the businesses, but I just wanted to mention that it'll probably be February into late spring.
Y'all
So,
have the LMI percentages?
yes,
They're meet it? Okay.
I don't know how much longer we will, but we do right now,
So we
so,
lost it on Duke Street.
okay.
Well, question for next,
LMI, low to moderate income.
for next month's meeting, is there anybody that can talk about the Coast Guard station? Do you think there'll be any update on that?
I don't think there'll be
It's
any
too
news.
soon for it? Okay.
Do you, Jerry?
Mm.
I don't think there'll be any news.
Yeah, we don't know anything about the VA,
And we don't, well, kind of.
we kind of do.
I don't, they sent out which alternative had no significant impact.
Oh,
Yeah,
And there was only one, the other two had environmental issues. didn't
the
they?
other two had environmental issues.
yeah. Oh.
That kind of narrows it down.
Yeah. Can you say which one or is it?
Yeah, it's public
Yes, not
information.
Beaufort.
Yeah.
Not
So it's the one on Remote Road had no significant impact.
Yeah,
Along with the old
that's a great location.
Yeah, I mean, it's public information, but I don't know if that means that's the choice, but
Right,
Put a traffic light.
In there.
Maybe we'll make a left-hand turn, I can
Right.
tell you that.
there was too many other issues with the other two sites.
Yeah.
Wetlands.
That's why we squared it up right there.
Yep.
Finay, we squared that up a long time, not a long time ago, years ago.
I mean, we know wetlands can be mitigated, but
Right.
so that's why I'm hesitant to say that that's the site, because I'm sure
Wow.
Until they
Maybe it's
just-
called front.
the mitigation costs money too.
front runner. That's a good name.
Yeah.
What about for next month, getting Jared in here to talk about the updates for
Yeah,
the
that's great.
2018 and because 2018
Well, we got-
projects are supposed to be almost fully complete by 2026 with
Yeah,
the,
just transportation, that would be good. Transportation update.
yeah.
And we had one from the transportation planner a few months ago, 2 months ago, but by then
sort of that for the
the
transit,
committee
Sort
will
of
have
a- Yeah,
met.
that was sort of a.
That was the summer.
overview.
Yeah,
Was that for the transit system 2 months ago? or-
It was for projects as well. We went through the whole GIS and just.
it was our county transportation plan. But the transportation committee on Monday will be appointed, and they will have met by the next meeting, so. The Transportation Advisory Committee, I think so. I mean, they got a intense schedule.
They're not ground running.
We got all 15 names, yep.
Yeah.
All 15 names, yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe that would be a great idea, I
They'll
think.
have had a meeting by the time we meet.
I think so, yeah.
So you want to update on the 2018 projects and future
And,
projects?
and the Transportation Advisory Committee update.
Okay.
That may fall in line with, because when's their end date for the TAC?
April.
Is it April, yeah, so I mean, yeah.
They gotta get on the ballot, get it
Get it
educated,
on the ballot.
do some kind of education or.
Big time.
Up against the same thing we did with the previous ones.
I don't know if the attitudes changed that
People
much.
don't know enough.
It's starting to get a little bit better.
Yeah.
I can point out. How's your trip in Bluffton?
Oh, and I know Jerry knows, big news, and it'll be on our agenda, the old Parkers at the base of the bridge, Liaison Bridge.
Yeah.
It was passed through committee, and Monday we'll vote to purchase.
Oh, good.
Sounds like a giant roundabout to me.
Good.
No, it's not a roundabout.
Don't speak that into existence.
We don't say that word.
There aren't
For
enough,
some reason, they love roundabout.
I mean, that intersection has a huge number of accidents.
Oh,
It's one of the highest in the
It's one
county.
of the worst, yeah.
Well, we got an issue with Cane Island because they're gonna think about putting a light out.
Oh,
there
for
at
sure,
the
yeah.
Foot of the bridge and people
Yeah.
going over that 60, 70 miles.
Yeah, well, same thing with the
Nuts.
bike trail coming across Battery Creek. I mean, people are moving.
But here's the problem, I guess our development over the years, 170, you can't expand it,
Right,
even if you wanted to.
right, I know.
And so,
So everybody has to get a bike.
Yes.
You know, hawks.
Yeah.
so bikes and
They wanna put the
pedestrians.
lights
Yeah.
out, they're bag, but
Okay, anybody got any other things? Could I have a motion? to
Yeah,
adjourn?
Wendy, how about,
Oh, hey, Ed.
are there any potential updates from Soloco, like the regional growth
No,
boundaries project?
no, unfortunately not.
No?
And have not, as a group,
Addressed.
embraced that,
Oh,
unfortunately.
yeah. Right, can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Okay. Very-